This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Bryan Driscoll, and I'm here with Philip Vincent. What's going on, Phil?
Hi, Brian. How are you today, sir? Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, man. Hey, so everyone listening, Phil does something interesting. So I do lead gen. Philip also does lead gen. He does it different, though. So, hey, Philip, give us a little bit of background on your background and what you do.
Yeah, I won't bore anybody to death with the story of saying I've been in this business 24 years, but I have 24 years. I've been a real estate guy, and I did the business backwards. I started off as a developer, and I worked my way into being a wholesaler. And that 24-year journey, I'll sum up very quickly. I realized what I didn't like to do versus what I like to do. And I like to be belly to belly with sellers, helping them solve their problem, then move on to the next one. I'm a deal junkie. And back in 2011, I discovered senior living. I want to be clear out of the gate. I'm not turning single family houses into senior living communities. There's great companies out there that do that. But I'm talking about if Philip and Bryan are brothers, we find out today that mom has to move into senior living. Where are we going to put her? We're going to move her by where you live. Is she going to live by where I live? Is she going to live by where she lives? You and I as brothers have to make some really hard decisions really quickly. And then in that moment, that flashpoint, we realize mom has a pension of $2,800, but the place we picked out is $6,500 a month. Is Bryan, my more affluent brother, going to pay the difference? Or are you going to look at me and go, hey, brother, we got to sell mom's house like today? And that's what happens. What I've learned is that true motivated seller is coming from senior living. Now, guys, this is pre-probate. This is not mom's passed away. Mom is with us. She's moving into senior living. She's going to be with us for about the next 28 months is the average. But these pre-probate deals is gigantic. The numbers are staggering. In fact, probates are my second favorite leads, but they're very distant lead. These pre-probate deals are the future of real estate. For anyone listening today, I want you to think about the last 5 houses you've purchased and think about the age of the seller. Hardly ever are they young. Almost always are they seniors. And so we teach a system with Mom's House on how to get into the senior living world, not as an investor and not as a real estate agent.
So if I'm hearing you right, then you're saying someone goes in a nursing home. Do you have partnerships with the senior homes, or how do you even find out?
Nationwide, we do.
Right.
We are, man, I tell you something, brother. In life, guys, we want you to dream as big as you can. Where Mom's House is right now, I didn't even dream this big. I'm heading to DC next week to meet with 4,000 owners of senior living communities. There's about 30,000 communities, but there's going to be 4,000 of them that have the money in the actual buildings. And we are like the title sponsor. We are woven into the senior living sales process. And it's a fun place to be. This rocket ship is like the industry is getting us. They say things like, where have you been all of our life? And I'm like, I've been right here the whole time, and so we're getting this traction. It's so obvious when you hear it the right way. And remember how I said, you don't do it as an investor, you don't do it as a real estate agent. That's the hard part, is to unlock your brain to be able to put people first. And so the type of investor I'm looking for has empathy. And if you don't know if you have empathy or not, just go ask your mate. They'll tell you very quickly if you're empathetic or not. And so we're looking for a different type of investor that can learn a new industry, learn how to have the right talk track, learn how to not put your foot in your mouth, learn how to be part of senior living. When you do, there's an unlimited amount of leads right there behind it. And when I say leads, watch this. This is a great example of what I'm talking about. We don't call it leads in our business. We call them families. Leads is cold. These are families in one of the toughest times of their lives. Brian, they literally call it crisis mode, and we help that family when they're in crisis mode.
Yeah, and that's a really good point you bring up too, because they'd find out, hey, mom just went into a nursing home. They're dealing with all this stuff they don't know. And then, on your side too, you got to make sure you pair them with the right people.
No doubt. We have a picture in our training of a lady being drawn and quartered like medieval torture, And so daughter Judy is the adult child of the senior. And the 4 horses are, one's her brothers and sisters that are questioning every decision daughter Judy is making. One's her mom, who's like mad that she got moved into the senior living. Like, when you move your mom out of her forever home into the community, she's cantankerous. She's mad. She's probably recovering from some sort of surgery. She's acclimating. She's saying, daughter, please take me home. And you just can't. Like, there's this pressure. Then you've got the community with all their paperwork. And, the American way is to not pick the cheapest one, but the most expensive. Like, where's all this money going to come from? Then daughter Judy's still married with kids at home. She burns up all of her paid time off, and she's, going to more doctor's appointments. She's being pulled in all 4 of these directions, like literally being pulled And then where do you think the fifth rope goes when the real estate agent shows up at mom's house and says, clean this place out, do this list of rehab items, then we'll try to get top dollar. She's just like, nope, I'm not doing it. But half the time they don't even live in town, Bryan. So it's like, there's no way that, I don't want to rehab a house that's halfway across St. Louis, let alone one that's on the other side of the country.
Right. Now, how do you find the right type of people, or how do you vet investors?
Training, my friend. I browbeat them. I shake them. I say, hey, if you're I'll just give you the analogy. We use this. It started from a wedding that I was at as a child. I was like 12 years old. And he said, Danita, you look like a beautiful vase today. And Chad, you look like a crock pot. And it was funny because Chad's personality was very abrasive. And so who you are personality wise. If you're walking in and we're going to tear this wall out. And, if you're the kind of person who likes to neg the house, you're not right for this. You got to change that. You have to be there to help the family in a loving way. If you're very transactional and only care about the numbers, I can help you hire somebody to go build these relationships in senior living if that's not you. But a vase is more beautiful and tender and, fragile and loving. If you're more vase-like, then you can go out and build these relationships in senior living. But then I might have to help you with the transactional side of real estate. Because what I found is a lot of people with the right heart condition, Bryan, they're not killers. They're not big negotiators. They're more that other loving side. And so I find a wide mix. I work with both sides, the crock pots and the vases. But whoever's listening to this, you have to have two attributes. You have to love real estate and love people. If you have both of those, I can work with you.
Let's go on. You're saying, so either side of the spectrum, they come to you and you're going to show them, okay, hey, when dealing with this type of family, here's the things that you need to focus on also, because it's maybe not your strength.
Exactly right. And we surround them with solutions. The house is one piece of it, but if you and I were going through that situation, there's probably about 9 other vendors or people in this time of our lives that we have to work with. And the cool thing about when we're getting, I'll just give you an example. When we're getting advice from an elder care attorney, you and I as brothers, when mom's moving to senior living, when you and I are getting that advice and that elder care attorney says, hey, give John a call. He takes care of all my house deals here in whatever town we're in. He that transfer of trust, you and I are like, well, crap, I didn't want to clean it out anyway. I didn't want to do it anyway. John's got a person. Let's definitely call that person, have him come in and make us an offer.
That's so true too. Anytime your financial guy, your attorney, or your CPA refers you to somebody.
Yep. Or your doctor. Right? Seniors. And that's the thing. When the doctor says, hey, mom can't move home, they listen. They're like, oh, and that's the thing about, motivated, right? I love that word, motivation. This is gun to your head motivation. Like they're not arguing with me about if they have to sell. Now they're just trying to do it the right way.
Yeah. Now, what made you get into this space?
Laziness. I hate crappy leads, Bryan. I hate them. I talk to investors every day and they're like, I'm doing cold calling. I'm like, ugh, gives me cold chills. I'm doing bandit signs. I'm like, no, I'm not going out at 3 a.m. trying not to get caught by the popo. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not doing that. Text message blasting. I'm like, no, I don't do it. I hear all these other ways to get leads. And I feel like, you and I could pick, there's 100 ways to get the phone to ring. You have to figure out which one you want to do with your life. And I think we were, talking about this earlier. It's like in this world, you can buy them, you can learn how to fish, or you can buy fish, right? And I think both have their place. And I think ours is different because we're talking about building relationships in senior living. When you do it right, Bryan, I really don't even know the lifetime value of my relationships yet, because I'm still doing deals with those same people that I met 10 years ago. And that's how valuable these relationships are.
Yeah. And that's a really good point there too, because a relationship pays dividends for forever.
I'm 11, 12 years in now, and I'm still doing them. And what's crazy is you guys are not behind. Just because I've been doing the senior side for 11 years, it's called the silver tsunami. It's taking off right now. And it's for the next 15 to 20 years. There's over $10 trillion in real estate. 10 trillion, that's with 12 zeros behind it, is owned outright by boomers and their parents. You've heard the term like the transfer of wealth. I'm not waiting around for my parents' inheritance. I hope you guys aren't either, because I don't think we'll ever get it. Parents are living longer. Americans are living longer. The healthcare's cost is going up. They're going to be selling that house pre-probate to pay for their care.
Hey, a little different topic. How did you, I love your brand name. How did you come up with the name Mom's House?
I love it too. Thank you for saying that. If you'll see behind me, there's a picture of the logo. It's a cross stitch house. So I can show you 100 pictures of my phone, over the past, decade of houses I bought. They always have cross stitch in them. And so why is it mom's house and not mom and dad's house? Well, the facts show us that 7 out of 8 are females that are moving into senior living. So if dad makes it, he's outnumbered 7-1. So it's pretty rare that it's a dad. And what I've noticed about even when dad is the one that's alive, here's what I love the most. They say, what are we going to do with mom's house? It just tells you about how powerful our mothers are in our lives.
Yeah, it is true too. Because you're right. Usually the moms are the one living longer. My grandma, she's like 96.
And I'll tell a stereotypical story. Dad died 8 years ago. Mom's been doing the best she can. She fell down again. This time she has to have the surgery. She can't move back home. The adult children don't know what to do. That's where mom's house was born. So he said, when I said this was born out of laziness, I was challenged back in 2011 to go find, for every deal we did via direct response marketing, let's go find a deal via relationships. And I thought, okay, and I did like what everyone else did. I met with other wholesalers and other real estate agents. Guys, that is a good way to find relationships, is wholesalers and real estate agents. But what I have found is those relationships were fickle. They lasted a year, maybe 2, before that wholesaler got too smart, understood what I was doing. I just had a better buyer's list and they would bypass me, right? Or a real estate agent, do you really think you're the only investor that agent's working with? Of course not. And so those relationships, they were fickle. They would last not that long, and then I have to find more. Where with senior living, I don't know the lifetime value yet because I'm still doing deals with them. And it's because they don't plan on being in real estate and I don't plan on being an elder care attorney or, all these different jobs. They're staying in their lane. I'm staying in my lane. You get really valuable to everyone that's listening when you become the tool that the senior living person uses in their business to make their life and their families that they're helping lives better.
So the investors that work with you, like, what's your target? What's your ideal real estate investor that's a really good fit for you? Because, being I'm an investor, you're an investor. Like, there's so many different types of investors. What's the ideal type of investor to work with you?
I mean, in a perfect world, it would be somebody doing, 20 deals a year that wants to get to 40 or 50 deals a year, that already knows how to buy houses, is not scared about writing a contract, not scared about making an offer, knows how to close, knows where to get the money from, would be ideal. Right. And so the problem I find with that investor is they can't stop talking like an investor and they don't have the empathetic side. And then so the other problem is the empathetic person, they'll love on them, they'll help the family, but then are they scared to death to make the offer on the house? And so the perfect hybrid would be the investor who's not afraid to make the offer, but also knows how to lead with love.
Gotcha. And how does it work? Like, say someone wants to work with you. How does it work? Do they just reach out and then you talk and see if it's a fit, or what would people do?
Exactly right. Just momshouse.com. That name, thank you for saying that. I put a lot of thought into that name. I love simple domain names, right? If my 8-year-old can spell it, it's probably a good name. And it's what people call it in the industry. That's kind of the fun part. When you're out networking in senior living, you'll hear people say, yeah, the family doesn't know what to do with mom's house. And so it came from actually what I do. I buy mom's houses for a living.
Right. Yeah. So it's momshouse.com, right?
Yeah, momshouse.com. Yep.
Yeah, nice and easy. So like, if anyone wants to reach out to you and work with you, just go to the website and fill out a form.
That's it. Momshouse.com. We're looking for people nationwide. And so we're trying to find people with empathy that also love real estate. I think what I've been noticing is we do some training in St. Louis, and when investors come out, they'll say things like, I've been waiting for something like this. I've been looking for something like this. Is different. And Bryan, it is. This is a true blue ocean service that we have. But the problem is that wholesalers investors and real estate agents will put their foot in their mouth without knowing they're doing it. That's where my training is. My 10 years of mistakes all boiled down into, hey, do it this way, because here, if you do it the other way, why it's going to fail. And I don't want to see people fail. I think there's too giant of an opportunity here to help, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 daughter Judys and their families every single month. And it's going to be that way for the next 15 years. So this is something worth your time because it's not trendy. What I do is not sexy. It's not trendy, but it's here for the next 15 to 20 years.
Right. And you're right too. Cause like with the type of families and the leads that you get on that side, it's different. Like we generate them digital. They're filling out a form and they want to sell their house. But the ones with you, the mom's not going and filling out a form because she just got put in a nursing home. So it's a whole different intent in a different situation, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad the way you said that. It's we deal with the adult child. When I say adult child, the oldest one I ever had was 80 years old. He was helping his 98-year-old mother-in-law. So when I say child, I might be talking about an 80-year-old person, but I'm willing with the adult child that's helping them. And that's where I wanted to point out the fundamental difference between this and probate. I'm a huge probate fan, but let me tell you why it's a distant second. Is that I'll use the analogy again. Bryan and Philip are brothers. Mom has now passed away. We go to sell the house. We're looking for every dollar we can. Why? It's our inheritance now. Now, what's in it for us? It's about cash for us. But if you go back to if Bryan and Philip are moving mom into senior living, whether we get 92 grand or 89 grand or 96 grand for the house, we're kind of like, whatever. It's going to go sit in an account until it's going to be whittled away until it's gone anyway. So it's the only time I've ever found in 24 years of real estate where it's as much about the trust as it is the price, meaning the price isn't the number one thing. It's how quickly can we make this happen? How easy can we make this on our family when there's so much other things going on?
Yeah, and you know what? I'd never thought about that too. Yeah, there's totally different intent there.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just to get it over with. They want the pain to go away. I had a lady. We have a testimonial. She was, lots of tears. This is an emotional time. To be clear, moving your mom out of her forever home is very hard on everyone. The community said your mother can't move here until you prove to us where the money is going to come from, because she didn't have enough money in the checking account to show them that she could. So the contract that we put on the house to buy it was the evidence that they let the mom move in. So she was just ecstatic because it took that pressure away. She was down in Florida. The daughter had moved to Florida. Mom was back in Kansas City. So there was like this, think about how much pressure that is what do I do with my mom if I can't take her anywhere?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people think or know how expensive nursing homes are. They're expensive.
$6,000 is the average a month.
Right. And I don't know what the percent is, but I know there's not a lot of people that have long-term care insurance. Like some do.
It's only 10% of the population, and that's usually a more affluent crowd. So 10% of the seniors, not of the entire population, just 10% of people over 65.
Right. And there's some, like if you go in a nursing home too, you can't go fire sale your stuff too, because the nursing home takes it first, right?
And no. So let's talk about that. So I think you meant Medicaid right there. And that's the thing about why there's so much training involved with being a part of Mom's House, is that the answer is, it depends. It depends. Like I have to ask 30 more questions. So there is a 5-year look back now. So a lot of families are getting smart finally, and they're not letting things go to probate when mom passes, but they're actually setting up trusts right now. Setting up a trust is like planting a tree. You should have did it 20 years ago or today. You need to do it today because you need to get that. You want to get that look back going, you want to get that 5-year separation as quickly as possible. And so, what was the point of the question here? Where are we going with that? Is how do they?
Yeah, we were just talking about like if someone gets in a situation, most people don't have long-term care insurance, and then they get this big bill.
Yeah. If they have long-term care insurance, they're only 10%. So that's usually a more affluent person. So that's just going to be the hedge between. And by the way, long-term care almost very rarely does it pay for the rest of your life. It usually has like a 1 or 2 years, or even might have a deductible. If you pay the first year, then we go after that. And so you can outlive your long-term care insurance too. That's not a solve all. That's a very small percentage. Almost everybody we deal with owns their house outright, and that's where their equity is sitting, but they can't touch it until they liquidate the house. So now the question is, do I go the route of the real estate agent of cleaning it out, updating it, and trying to get top dollar, or do I work with somebody like Mom's House that's going to come in and do those things I don't want to do?
Right. Yeah. So that's pretty good stuff there. So anyone listening, if you're interested in getting into this space, reach out to Philip.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's a big space. And I think if you take the time to learn it right, I mean, this can feed your family the next 20 years. It's that type of a deal where this is not going away.
That's huge. Anything else we missed from a top level?
That's a great question. I get giddy every day when I come to work because of how big this problem is that we're working on. And I think when you set your goals in life, a lot of people like to say, I'm going to build a business and have the life I want around that. Like they live for the weekends. And I really teach the opposite, is that you can find a business that can give you the lifestyle you want. Because one thing about senior living, what it's taught me is that the golden years probably won't be so golden. In fact, they won't be. And so I'll be happy when, I'll wait when. None of that's going to work, guys. You need to figure out your life right now. And I work very part-time hours doing, 3 or 4 deals a month that pay me very well, but I do it and I have all my time. and, I don't work. I work very few hours. People have always said, Phil, you have a homeless guy schedule. And they meant that lovingly, like I can do what I want when I want because I have this open schedule. And so think about the life you're building, and then I'll show you a business that can work around that.
Yeah, and that's such a good point too, because everyone's in hustle grind mode all the time, like you're saying, putting it into the future. Hey, guess what? Your health might not be there, and you got all this money sitting there that you can't do anything with, or whatever.
Yeah, and every rich person ever on their bed would trade that for mobility or more life. So,
100%.
Good point, Bryan. Good point.
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for coming on, Philip. We appreciate it. Everyone listening, reach out to Philip, momshouse.com. And yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day, Bryan.
Hey, thanks. Everyone listening, go out there, crush it, and close some deals.